Imagine hosting an open house with a real estate agent, which most loan officers will do if they're new to the industry. That they'll jump right on that, or desperate for business, right? They'll go do an open house, they'll sit there, they'll hope to meet some buyers. Imagine if you said, buyers, you come in, answer 25 questions. I can tell you whether or not right now if you're approved to buy this house. Not, hey, we'll go back, we'll underwrite it, we'll go through, feel like, we'll ask you some more questions, provide. It's all being done right there. You have the ability for this software, this artificial intelligence, to give an approval right there on the on site. How much more powerful is that for a loan officer to want to sit there and actually have valuable time to produce incredible answers?
Yeah, exactly. And it's not just, can you buy this house? No, I'm going to give you a certificate that says you're good as cash. So I'm going to give you a true approval certificate in a few hours that you're as good as cash. You can go buy any house with this certificate.
Welcome back to the What's Your More podcast. I'm your host, Quinton Harris, and today I am joined by an amazing guest. Folks, hang on to your britches on this one. We're going to talk AI technology, and I know many of you guys, all of a sudden, when you hear that, you start to cringe, but this is some really cool stuff we're going to bring to the table today. This AI technology is driven around mortgages, and that's our wheelhouse here on the podcast. And in this particular episode, we're going to discuss this revolutionary technology that has empathy in the background that actually does things for borrowers that we haven't seen on a platform yet. So I'm so excited. My guest today is Pavan Agarwal, who is the CEO of Celligence International LLC and Sunwest Mortgage Company, Inc. He's a visionary leader in the AI industry. He pioneered AI-driven equality in financial services, which exemplified by Sunwest's success in cutting the black decline rates in half, which is an astonishing multiplier of 2 to equal the national average white decline rate. Angel AI achieved an approval multiplier of 1.7 across the entire population. Just to put that in perspective, if you had 2 black borrowers go into a traditional lender and they were to be declined, his software was approving one of those at a 50% rate, which is much different than what you're seeing in other AI softwares. Agarwal's creation of Angel AI and Celligence revolutionizes artificial intelligence with an industry first, an AI that is 100% trusted to make high-speed, multi-million-dollar decisions with empathy. An engineering background has led to numerous patents and mastery of advanced tech like AI and blockchain. Without further ado, Pavan, welcome to the show, my man.
I gotta say, I haven't heard the word britches since I watched Little House on the Prairie in the early 80s. Yeah.
Well, every now and then we try to give them some flavor here on the show, And I tell you what, I could have said buckle up. We use that one a lot around here too. But hold on to your britches on this one. If you're a real estate agent, if you're a mortgage lender, this is the show for you today. You are going to walk out of here with a plethora of knowledge and go, man, that's incredible. So let's jump right into it. I mean, hats off. You've done a lot of great work. You've been doing this since, you've been in the industry for some time, but let's talk specifically AI. You've been pioneering this software at Angel AI since 2018. Is that correct?
Yeah, we first rolled it out in production in 2018 internally to our loan officers, but we've been building it. The first AI program I wrote personally was in 1985.
Wow.
Yes. So, and I've said this in other settings. AI was first called pattern recognition, and the first algorithms were written back in 1952. So this is nothing new. It's kind of new in the consumer space right now, where it's captivated our imagination as a nation, but it's existed for a long, long time.
I think that should add a little bit of relief to the audience, if you may. We've been talking, this has been going on since 1952. You wrote your first one in 1985. This ideology that robots are going to take over our jobs and processes kind of needs to dissipate a little bit. We kind of need to take a deep breath and not freak out over this. I think one of the things that you pointed out to me in the pre-show is this is just the speed of technology allowing us to be more efficient. And I think that's how we should look at this versus being fearful of it.
Yeah, we have to look at it in the perspective of what's best for the consumer. Right? Because every producer, on one side you're a producer, you're working at some company making some widget.
Yep.
But you're also a consumer. So if we focus on what is best for the consumer and delivering the highest value and the highest quality part of the consumer, then we all win.
Okay, yeah, so I love that.
And mechanization is that type of economics, is that it's delivered at the lowest possible cost and highest quality to every consumer, and that's all of us. So mechanization is a fastest way to democratize the economy.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. So let's kind of dive right into the nuts and bolts of this. So I'm a customer, right? Well, how about this? You be the customer. I'm going to be the traditional loan officer for this experiment. So traditionally speaking, you would call me and, let's say 5 years ago world, and we would take a loan application together over the phone. And I would ask you a series of questions, and I would pull your credit, and I would tell you the good and the bad of your credit, and then you would tell me about your income, and whether it's W-2 or self-employed, we'd work through the semantics of what you need to provide to make me feel good about that income and get the approval, and then as well as your assets to garner the down payment on the home. And then I would issue a pre-approval depending on the documentation level you provided. And I would run this magical system in the background that AUS provides that we all think is just this great system, right? AUS for Fannie and Freddie and the agencies and the FHA or VA, depending on what type of loan it is. And then I would kick out a pre-approval, right? And with the contingencies. Fast forward, in pre-COVID, right in COVID, you would now just go online. You'd fill all that application information out, and we'd pull your credit automatically with your consent, and all those systems would run automatically in the background. But we were still issuing the same pre-approval. Here we are today. Your system's been running since 2018, and you guys have not only been doing what the industry started about 3.5 years ago, you're underwriting the whole thing.
Yes, correct. So what's the difference between underwriting the whole thing versus running a DU? I mean, every loan officer listening to this knows the difference. Is that when you underwrite the whole thing, you've actually looked at all the documents. Mm-hmm. You've looked at all the deposits on the bank statements and all the deductions on the paychecks and all that kind of stuff, right? Which is a human has to do today, no matter, what system you're using, except that now in this case, when you drop those documents into Angel AI and you press that paperclip button and you drop those documents in, the software, the AI will look at those documents and read every line of those documents and identify the large deposits, identify the NSFs, the wage garnishment on the pay stub, all of those things. It would look at the utility bills and say, hey, this cannot be owner occupied because you haven't had any electricity usage for the past 6 months. Right? It actually finds all of those things that normally require a human to find.
Yeah. And in the background, you're feeding it all the other automated stuff, credit, Mavent, or, whatever software is CoreLogic you're using on the backside to look at fraud guard. It's getting all that fed in there as well to kind of garner this information.
Correct. So so the process that you described on taking the loan application. So as an Angel AI agent, I would ask you a handful of questions, roughly 20 questions, maybe 25. Are you self-employed? Are you renting or owner occupied? Do you have any rental properties and so forth? So I'd ask you some basic questions, mm-hmm. and mostly yes or no, and then the AI will come back and say, here's a list of documents. Here's a needs list I need from Quinton, and then you take that need list and you give me those documents, and on the spot, it's going to analyze everything and issue you an approval.
Now, is a loan officer involved in that point, or is this just Angel AI doing all of this?
It's just Angel AI doing all of this, and it will run through all the different scenarios. Run it through as non-QM, as FHA, as conventional, and find the least cost route and suggest back the products to you.
So if you're a loan officer, again, don't be fearful. Let's think about how we become more efficient with something like this. Right now, how many more borrowers can you work with? How many more customers can you help? Because let's call this what it is. And I mean, this is exactly what happens in our industry right now. If I have a deal in front of me that is a difficult file that's taking up time, and I'm having to work through it because I can't find the answer, or I have to go outside to get help to find the answer, or more importantly, I'm just stuck from the standpoint of I'm probably going to have to turn this deal down. Well, what happens to that file? Well, most people kind of push it to the side for a little bit to try to work on the ones they can get closed, and then they come back to that one, and it drags out, and it creates a bad customer experience. Customer gets angry. That's when you start having complaints, et cetera. It goes on. That's what happens in our industry. And I mean, if you're listening to this and you're shaking your head going, I don't do that yet, I haven't done it yet, or you just are in denial, right? We've all been there. We've all seen that. I've been doing this for 22 years. You definitely see it. But in your case, the system would quickly make that decision, and it would quickly give opportunities, and you could move on to the next file without having to let that lingering, customer experience happen. They're going to have it right there in front of them.
Yep. And literally your whole loan application interview process is get through those 20 questions, upload the documents, and go on to the next one.
Has Angel AI ever been wrong?
Yes.
Okay. And I imagine because it's AI, it learns from being wrong and probably doesn't make that mistake over and over again.
Yes. Yeah. So here's what happens when Angel AI is wrong. And it's been wrong a couple of times. And
I like how you said a couple of times. It's been going since 2018 a couple of times.
I can literally count on my hands. It's 4 fingers. It's been wrong 4 times.
That's wildly impressive, by the way.
Yeah, and that's when we call it was a baby AI.
Fair enough.
When she was a baby, when she was just a toddler, she was wrong a few times. But the warranty still stood. So okay. I scratched. So I still funded the loans, and I scratched and entered it and put it on balance sheet. So if I build an AI that I say is going to underwrite a file and calculate the income right and review everything to agency guidelines or FHA guidelines, and if it did it wrong, and I say, "Oops, oh sorry," then I'm just like everybody else.
That's correct.
Right? And then I'm just like, what's the difference between any other lender who you don't know if it's going to close until it closes, right?
Right. There's no difference, and there's a lot of people like that in the industry. By the way, that's the majority of the industry.
Exactly, right. So what's the point of doing something fast if you can't rely on it? Okay, so that's why when we first rolled it out, I mean, we had already done before we rolled it out, and I gave the warranty. We'd already done thousands of loans through it, and then we officially rolled it out and put the warranty on it. And at that point, it was like, okay, I'll write the check if it's wrong. It's like,
yeah,
I already knew that my downside is so small.
Yeah, that's a great warranty. And I mean, just to put in perspective, how many loans has been ran through Angel AI?
Gosh, north of 60,000.
Okay, so 60 to 80,000, and we've got 4 that we're talking about that baby AI had an issue on. I can tell you right now, there are some lenders, as we're sitting here, we've been doing this for 15 minutes. They've already had 4 issues, right? They've already had 4 issues in this 15 minutes, and so I'm not picking on the human process here. I'm not. One of the biggest things, where I hung my hat for the longest time at Bank of England that we pride ourselves on was, to your point, what's the good of being fast if you can't have expertise behind that, right? But everybody, including us, had human element of error. I think the only difference is that, like you, we put a guarantee on that error and we ate most of it when we went wrong, and other lenders just don't have that ability to do that. But what I like about this product right here is that it really gives the loan officer an advantage they haven't had. Imagine hosting an open house with a real estate agent, which most loan officers will do if they're new to the industry. That they'll jump right on that, or desperate for business, right? They'll go do an open house, they'll sit there, they'll hope to meet some buyers. Imagine if you said, buyers, you come in, answer 25 questions. I can tell you whether or not right now, if you're approved to buy this house, not, hey, we'll go back, we'll underwrite it, we'll go through, feel like, we'll ask you some more questions, provide. It's all being done right there. Because I think what happens with our technology now is that you can interface other products like Day One with Fannie Mae inside of your system. So we're getting more and more efficient with and more comfortability with customers logging in to these systems, which gives them access to the bank records, access to the payroll, especially with all of, the new VOEs and things that are available much quicker now, and the work number, et cetera, ADP, it goes on and on and on. You have the ability for this software, this artificial intelligence, to give an approval right there on the on site. How much more powerful is that for a loan officer to want to sit there and actually have valuable time to produce incredible answers?
Yeah, exactly. And it's not just, can you buy this house? No, I'm going to give you a certificate that says you're good as cash. So I'm going to give you a true approval certificate in a few hours that you're as good as cash. You can go buy any house with this certificate.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys heard that right there. As good as cash. Now that's clutch right there.
Yeah, because once we issue the approval, right, with the warranty, I never back down from that approval. Okay, never in the sense that, unless, of course, the borrower's circumstances changes, or
right,
things like that. The normal carve outs.
Yeah, like you don't quit your job, you don't run up credit card debt, all the parameters, right? We can't stop borrowers from being borrowers, right? They're going to do what they do.
Right. And of course, title has to be clean.
Right. Now, talk to me about the appraisal process. Now, obviously, the appraisal process still being ordered by the lender. It's being provided to Angel AI. Is Angel AI underwriting the appraisal as well?
Correct. Because we receive a MISMO and the appraisal, and it analyzes the MISMO to HUD guidelines, and it also scans and looks through the pictures and so forth. It actually can detect, for example, power lines going over the property, which is a HUD no-no.
Which is a no-no, right? Like a railroad in the backyard. That's a no-no. Stuff like that, right? That you see in some other areas of the country. Yeah, no, that's super impressive. I look at this like Again, I'm going to keep going back to the loan officer side of things. This is a huge advantage, and it's a great opportunity to really streamline the process and give you, the loan officer, the ability to have more people in your pipeline and be the expert in your field. What do you say to people that are mainly retail loan officers? These are individuals that go to real estate offices. A lot of their business is referrals. They really develop relationships in the community. How do they look at something like this? Are they fearful of something like this, or are you guys at Southwest? Do you have loan officers experimenting with that right now out in the field?
Actually, Sunwest.
Sunwest. My apologies, Sunwest.
No worries.
You're right.
No worries. Yeah, we get that. That gets mixed up all the time. Some people call it Sunwest Airlines, and it happens too.
Well, my time at Bank of England, we were called B of A all the time, so I get it absolutely. So my apologies.
Yeah, so it is really a mindset shift. Okay, and you got to build new neural pathways.
Okay,
and you got to let go of how you were doing things before. And once you do, and it's like with any new habit, like getting up in the morning and exercising, right? You got to do it for 30 days consistently, and you'll do it forever. Okay, so these new neural pathways have to be built, and when it's built, then you realize how much more time you have to go out and actually do the things that build your brand. Okay, and that is community outreach. That is the getting involved and connecting and doing all of those things, which is the way you establish your why, right? Why Quinton? Why John Doe loan officer, right? Is you have to create a connection and a trust within the community.
Yeah, no, I think that's well said. If you're a loan officer and you're building your brand, I think this only strengthens it if you can be right all the time and not some of the time or the majority of the time. It'd be great to go in there and say, hey, we got a bulletproof system here. And the guarantee is exactly what you mentioned. I want to go back to that so our audience understands that. You're putting a guarantee on this right now saying, hey, listen, if my software is wrong, I'll buy the loan. I'll guarantee it. I'll fund the loan for you.
Yeah, except the attorneys tell me to call it a warranty.
Okay, warranty. Yeah. Okay, not a guarantee, a warranty, right? For legal terms, it's a warranty. So, but I think what that says to our audience is that it's not wrong often. And so I think one of the biggest knocks on AI that I'm hearing right now is the analyzation of self-employed borrowers. I hear all those people go, yeah, it's easy to do a W-2, but it's that self-employed borrower with the 1065s or the 1120, 1120S, we all know what they look like, that there's so many different areas that these data point sets are missing to add back depreciation or take away for the Schedule M on some of those tax returns, et cetera, et cetera. What are you guys doing, obviously, to deal with that? Because with only 4, warranties, that sounds like you guys kind of have that down right now.
Yeah, totally. In fact, on our YouTube channel, there's a short up there of a mortgage broker who was at a conference listening to one of the presentations, and while he was there, he put in a complex self-employed borrower, right? He went in on the spot. Went into Ask Angel.ai, uploaded the documents, and before the presentation was done, he got the income analysis back, right? And it was like spot on. Wow. And right, it was with the rental income and whatever. Yep. All the hairy stuff.
That's incredible because you don't see that right now in the industry. I know there's some competitors. We're not going to use names out there, right? But there's some competitors that are your competitor in the AI world for specifically mortgage lending that don't do that well. And that is a knock. And I know that for a fact that it doesn't work out. So for you guys to have mastered that already, hats off. That's pretty fantastic and exciting news. So let's transition to the real estate agent and then we'll transition to the customer. Transition to the real estate agent. If I'm a real estate agent right now, I want my I want to know that there's an opportunity for this, especially again for all the reasons we just said. But I think it's more or less the guarantee or the warranty or the fact that there's less human element error in this particular case. I think that really provides a better experience for the real estate agent as well as the customer. But I look at 2020 and 2021. We're probably not going to go back to those times. But if rates come down like they're coming down gradually now, we get back in the fives, it's going to be a musical chair of list, sell, buy, list, sell, buy, which means we're going to have more multiple offers. And I think as good as cash, which you mentioned earlier, is very, very strong going into the particular, multiple offer situation. If I'm a listing agent and I see as good as cash, to me, that's very, very promising. That's something I'm going to take a look at real long and hard and make sure my sellers understand that as well.
Oh yeah, because what you do is you submit the offer as no loan contingency. Okay, and the system will also do, if you put in the property address, it also do an early PIW.
Okay.
So if the early PIW comes back clear as well, then you can actually submit the offer as no loan contingency, no appraisal contingency.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and obviously, and at that point, when you say no contingency, they don't care whether it's a cash offer or what kind of finance. They don't really care.
Right.
So it's going to go to your offer is going to go to the top of the stack.
Wow. That's impressive. That is really, really impressive. And also a little scary because it's like, well, if you don't have that as your bag of tricks, that could be a competitive disadvantage. So yeah. That's interesting. Now, what do you say about the theology of relationships win over technology every time?
I didn't understand the question.
Well, when people say, okay, I'll work with this person because I have a working relationship with them. I trust them. I work with them. I know their families. I don't care. They don't have AI software. Do you think relationships win over that efficiency every time?
No.
Okay. Care to elaborate?
I talk to a lot of realtors.
Okay.
And publicly they'll tell me, Sally is my favorite loan officer, and I've been working with her for years, and so on and so on. Privately, they'll say, yeah, Sally had 3 mess ups last month, and it's a challenge.
Sure.
Right. Or whatever. But Sally's my favorite loan officer because even though there was some mess ups, she picked up the phone, she told me about it, and we worked through it. And that's why Sally's my favorite loan officer. Okay. So the relationship boils down to is trust.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And not simply trust on delivery, but trust that you will be there to solve a problem if something does come up. So realtors have kind of come to expect that things will go wrong.
Okay.
That will be wrong. And they expect their loan officer to be there to and not run away when there's a problem, whatever the problem is.
Sure.
Okay. And so I always, when I'm coaching new loan officers, and I'm coaching loan officers to build up their production, is like the most important thing is get in front of your referral partner. Mm-hmm. Always, no matter what's happening, let them know.
Sure.
Okay. So if Sally is as professional as she is and is always in front of her referral partner, but now didn't have those 3 mess ups last month. Okay. And every other loan officer that this referral partner has ever worked with has had mess ups. So now which one do you think that the relationship really go to?
Well, they would go to the one without all the mess ups.
Yeah, exactly. Right. I mean, yes, it's great that a professional loan officer, and a sincere person who really cares about his clients is there to pick up the pieces if something goes wrong. Mm-hmm. That's wonderful. Okay, but it's even more wonderful if nothing goes wrong.
Right. No, I get that. Absolutely. Right? No, that's
right. And it's even more wonderful that there's a someone with a big checkbook that if something does go wrong is going to write the check.
Write the warranty check.
Right. Yeah. Right. I mean we talked about mechanization earlier in this call, and what robotics does to an industry. Mm-hmm. So I think back to like 1974, and my dad bought this Ford LTD, great big blue Ford LTD, right?
Right.
And that thing, whenever we went up to Big Bear, I grew up in Southern California. Whenever we went up to Big Bear, it overheated 3 times on the way up. And on the way down, the brakes smoked about 3 or 4 times when it stopped. So it was quite a voyage and getting to Big Bear, right? And then we bought our first Toyota like sometimes later, and like this is great. We don't ever have to change the oil. We never have to change literally the Toyota Camry just ran forever. We never did anything to it, and it went up and down the mountain every single time, right?
So you're relating AI technology to your Toyota Camry experience.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Now the Ford dealers, wonderful people. Mm-hmm. You had a problem, they went in, they fixed it. They were Johnny on the spot. They were very responsive and all that. But I'd rather have the car that went up and down the mountain without stalling.
Yeah,
right?
no, I see the analogy there, and that's a good one. It's well put. Yeah. What do you say to, and I mean, I think there's a lot of people in our industry, they're not naysayers particularly, but I think they're defenders against AI. What do you say to the people that say AI is only as good as the data put in?
Well, that's a fact.
Okay.
So that is exactly how AI works. AI is, the definition of AI means computer, the way I define it at least, is computer software, right, that is built from the data. So the computer makes a decision based on the data.
So bad data in, bad answer out.
Correct. Now, what you're actually saying there is something a little bit different. Okay, what you're talking about is bad prompt in.
Bad prompt in. Yeah. So let me back up and make it more relatable, because I need to clarify what I said.
Yeah.
As a loan officer, how many times has the customer given a loan officer the wrong answer to the question to an application? Probably 50% of the time it happens. Not intentional. They're just, maybe they didn't understand the question, or they were giving you the answer they thought you wanted, right? And so what I think the data suggests in today's world when we went to online applications is that the incompleteness of that application, as well as the inaccuracy of that application, is much higher than when it was verbally taken over the phone, which then I hear the suggestion of, if that's the case, going through an AI system, wouldn't that also still be the case?
We've solved that problem.
Oh, tell me. Okay. I knew you had an answer for everything, but I didn't think you'd have one for this.
Yeah. So it's just the way our AI system works.
Okay.
So the whole problem with internet applications is you send the consumer a link, and now they're off on a website all by themselves. Mm-hmm. And the consumer's like, okay, where's my loan officer? What am I doing here? And I have to fill in maybe 10, 20 pages, form pages of questions. And along the way, I'm getting confused. I'm not sure what this means or what that means. And then okay, good enough, submit. Right. And then they're thinking, hey, if I had to do this with XYZ mortgage, I might as well try, 10 other internet
mortgage, yep. DEF mortgage, right? Just keep going.
Yeah,
yep.
The minute a loan officer gives a link to a consumer, say, go fill this in, right? The loan officer just pushed that consumer away, and he's off now shopping.
Okay.
Right. He said, if I could do this for you, I could do this for 10 other people. So you've just put yourself in a rate shop environment. Okay. So the way Angel AI works, on the contrary, is a loan officer is an Angel AI sends an invitation to a borrower. Okay. And the borrower, when he accepts the invitation, he joins the conversation with the loan officer and the AI.
So when the borrower takes it, they're working with the loan officer at the same time and the AI system together at the same time.
Exactly. So it is like a three-way chat, like a WhatsApp. It's like a chat group now. So the borrower is talking. The AI is asking the borrower questions, but the loan officer is still there, and the loan officer can still jump in and assist the borrower. So then the borrower can see that the loan officer is still there.
Right.
And if the borrower decides to accept the invitation 5 hours later, right? That's okay, because the minute the borrower accepts the invitation, the loan officer gets a text message saying, "Hey, your borrower is in there now.
Has entered this invitation in this room with Angel AI now."
Right, and
prompting them to hop in.
Yes, click here and join. Right, and now the The second half of it is there isn't, pages and pages of online application fill in. There's only, roughly 20 questions, sometimes 15, sometimes 25, depending on how they answer the question. But it's 20 basic questions. And the rest of it is, give me these documents.
Gotcha.
Okay. Either give me these documents, and for bank statement access, it's either give me your bank statements, or you can do the Finicity thing.
Finicity.
Yeah. If you want to do a link up, so we can download it from your bank account, or do you want to give me the documents?
Yeah, and for our audience, most originators know exactly what Finicity is, but if you're not familiar, Finicity is think of it like Plaid or another software you would use to interface your banking in with another platform. You do this all the time with Venmo. You do it all the time with everyday services you use. There's zero security issues on this with Finicity. It's one of the highest ranked security link ups, if you want to call it that allows your banking portal to communicate directly with the lender that you're using or the software they're using to get that information without putting the burden on the borrower to get it.
Yes, correct.
And so you guys got this opportunity, and if you kind of see where Pavan's going with this, it seems very seamless. And it seems flawless. And the reason I'm kind of like talking the system up is that, one, I'm excited because, we're potentially looking at bringing them on rather quickly. And the other one is that I think, I heard through the grapevine, I could be wrong, that you're giving this software away to people right now. Is that correct?
It is totally free. And it's not just right now. We have I can't see a situation where that changes in the future.
I just want to make sure the audience heard that. It's currently free, and I don't see a situation where that changes for the future. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. So, and the business model is interesting, which if we go into that, because people will say, well, why is it free? And you can't be free forever. But
yeah,
but the business model is much bigger. But the bottom line is, if you go to askangel.ai, okay, so that's how you start chatting with it, Ask Angel. Just some askangel.ai. And you just start chatting with it, and you can say create account, or create an account for you, and you can ask her for a free T-shirt. After you create an account, so give me a T-shirt, and it will mail you a T-shirt.
Oh, that's cool.
To your size, to your specifications. But then you can also do interesting things like upload tax returns. You can upload pay stubs and bank statements and so forth, and analyze and say, is there any large deposits? Just ask it questions, and it'll do those things, and it'll give you those answers back. Okay. And depending on what you give it, what you ask her to do, it could be, a couple of minutes, it could be 30 minutes, it could be an hour, but it'll give you an answer back, and you don't have to sit there and stare at it while you're waiting for the answer, right? Because you can close it, and it'll send you a text message saying it's complete. Okay, or there's something, or you can give it another errand. There's what we call errands. You assign another errand, and it'll go and do another errand. And you could, we have our loan officers will have like 20 errands open at the same time. Okay, and they just keep. It's like it's a personal assistant,
right?
If you've ever seen the movie The Devil Wears Prada, right? Anne Hathaway was that personal assistant for was it Glenn Close?
For Glenn Close, yep.
Yeah, right. And it's just like whatever she wanted, says, whatever her name was, and whatever the character's name was, and like she'd yell at her, and she'd go get it.
Yeah, she'd just yell what she needed. She went to go get it. Yeah, it's exactly. So very similar to what the errands do over at Angel AI.
Yeah, exactly. You yell at Angel AI, "Where's my latte?" and she'll go get it.
Well, that link to Angel AI to create an account, that'll be in our YouTube channel, and at the bottom there in our notes at What's Your One More with the number 1. So if you want to get into that and check it out, I highly recommend it. And I think that what's really cool about this is, and to your point, there's a whole nother back end plan that goes with this from a software development and what that means to the industry. But the fact that you're actually giving that to people to use to their own benefits, I think is really cool. And obviously I know there's a bigger plan for that, but the fact that you're doing that's really cool. I mean, you could make it $1, right? But you're giving it away for free. And I think that's pretty cool and says a lot about, what you want to provide service wise to have a better customer experience. And I also want to say, hats off, commending you for what you've done in the diversity space there for mortgage applications and, the improvement you've made on that end. I know that's a big thing that the industry is pushing towards, and it looks like you've been kind of pioneering that. So hats off on that as well.
Yeah. So when you go to use it and you upload document stuff, you don't have to worry. It's all secure. It's because we're a financial institution, and it's not like it's not going to be sold anywhere or anything like that. We'd get in trouble.
Sure.
But stuff, right? And it just stays in the sandbox for you.
Yeah. And I think that's important, depending on what company you work with or depending, what bank, what lender, you're going to want to get permission to do that. Obviously, there's third party sharing information there, but if your company says that that's okay, more importantly, you guys are getting approved by the minute by multiple institutions, larger banks as this to be used. So it's getting ready to be widely adapted in multiple areas, if not already. So I don't think that's too much of a concern. If you don't have it yet, it's probably coming.
Yeah. I mean, I can tell you at many trade shows, I would say it happens at least once at every trade show. I'll have an underwriter come to me from another lender. I won't even say competing. We don't really have competition. I'd have an underwriter come to me and say, don't tell anybody, but when I get stuck in a file, I'll upload it into Angel AI and get the answers.
Well, I mean, hey, listen, hats off for them for being honest. I mean, there's a lot of people that go places for answers. I mean, whether it's Ask Polly or, whether it's Angel AI software or, other competitor softwares, it's being used. And I think that the adaptation of that's coming more and more. I go back to this. If you're a retail loan officer, this is only going to give you more opportunities, not take opportunities away. I think that if you're a call center loan officer, now that's the person I would be scared of for this software, because that call center loan officer pretty much is doing what Angel AI is already doing right now. There's where the job becomes an issue. But if you're a retail LO, it's a lot different out there because you still have to get the business to come in versus the calls coming in and the opportunities back to the call center.
Well, we run a big call center as well. And I think if anything, what it does is that it lets the call center loan officer focus on his phone sales skills.
Okay.
Right. And he can close more because he can give answers fast, right? Good, accurate answers fast, while the competition is fumbling around. That's
a fair statement. I think if it provides that loan officer a greater accuracy and better sales skills from the internal, better customer service, then yeah, I could see that being a win. I think, obviously, you can tell I'm focusing real hard on that retail side out there because I understand from a retail standpoint, you still got to knock on the door. You still got to be able to sit down and talk with real estate agents. You still got to be able to get that opportunity for that contract to come to you so that you can put it into a system such as this and take advantage of it. So I think that, I was really excited for our podcast today. I'm even more excited when we get done here because, pre-show, we were talking about a mutual friend that I'm about to call right after this and send some photos of you being on the show today. So I'm pretty stoked about that and kind of pushing this process further along for us. So, Pavan, thank you so much for being on the show today. Guys, if you want more details on this, you want to give them the website to go to one more time?
Okay. So if you want to use the software and start asking it questions and hitting it with all your hit it with the hard stuff. The harder you hit it, the better it responds. So go to askangel.ai. askangel.ai. And if you just want to read about the product, if you just want to read, get just general information about it, just go to you go to angelai.com.
There you go. So there's where your details are going to be. That'll also be in our show notes. It'll also be on our YouTube channel at What's Your One More. Guys, if you like this podcast, please share it with a friend. Help get the message out. Also, 5-star review it on Apple specifically and leave a comment, even though we're on every platform, Spotify, Google, Amazon. We love hearing your comments, love hearing your feedbacks, and check us out on our socials at What's Your One More. Till the next time, Pavan, thank you so much for being on the show today. It was an absolute pleasure having you on here and being our guest at What's Your One More.
Thank you, Quinton.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I got one more shot, I'm gonna make it. One more chance, I'm gonna take it. I meant it when I said it, now it's time for me to do it. I got one life to live, so I put my all into it, yeah.